Hello everyone, welcome back again to Excel with Ugo. In today's video, we will be looking at the index and match function as a preferred alternative to the Vlookup function because of its ability to break the major limitation of the Vlookup function. When comparing both functions together, most Excel users prefer to use the index and match function to look up data from different columns and rows of the source data table because it is not as restrictive as the Vlookup function. In this video, I'll be showing you some productivity and efficiency tips and tricks to enable you manage and use the index and match function effectively. I would also be attaching the template of this exercise in the description box below so that you can access it to practice along while watching this video. So let's get started. The major limitation of the Vlookup function is that the Vlookup function only looks for a value in the leftmost column of your data and returns a corresponding value in the same row from a column which you specify. Let us look at a quick example so you can understand what I'm talking about. In this example, let us use the staff ID as our lookup value. I'll just type the staff ID 1102. And let's say we are looking for the gender of the staff that has the ID 1102. Notice that on our data table, the staff ID is not on the leftmost column. Rather, the information on the leftmost column of our table is the staff name, while the value we are looking up for is the staff ID. However, let's continue with our example to see how this works. When typing a function or a formula in Excel, we start with the equal sign. So equals Vlookup. I don't have to complete typing the Vlookup because with Microsoft Excel, it already brings up a pop-up of what you're trying to type. And once you notice there is a pop-up already, you can just press the tab key to open up the bracket. Then the first argument there is the lookup value. So I'll be clicking on the cell that contains our lookup value, which is the staff ID. Then type comma. Our next argument is the table array. What this simply means is just a range of cells in our data table that contains both the data we are looking up and the value which we want to return. So we'll go to our table and highlight the range of all the cells. I'll press down the Shift Control key and the right arrow key to select all cells to the right, then press down the Shift plus Control key and the down arrow keys to select all cells downwards. Then I can use F4 to lock it up. The next argument there is the column index number. This simply means the column where the value we are trying to return, which is the gender, is located in our data table. So starting from where our range of cells is selected from, we would count from staff name 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see that the gender is on the fourth column from the place where we specified as our range of cells. And I'll just type 4 in that argument and put a comma. So the last argument there is the range lookup. This will ask you to use true if you want an approximate match, or you use false if you want an exact match. So because we want an exact match of the value we are trying to return, we will be using false. Close the bracket and press enter. You can see that this returned an error. Reason being that our lookup value is not on the leftmost column of our data table. See what happens when we change our lookup value to be the staff name. You can see that it has responded accordingly because the staff name is on the leftmost column of our data table based on our selected range. If we still want to maintain the staff ID as the lookup value and expect it to return a corresponding value as the result, then we can choose to adjust our range of selection such that the staff ID becomes the value on the leftmost column of our data table. To do that, We will be changing our table array from B4 to C4. Note that this would also affect my column index number, because since I've adjusted my range of selection to start from staff ID, that means when I want to count for the column index number, I will start counting from the staff ID, which is 1, 2, 3. And this automatically makes my column index number to change to 3. And when this is done, it gives me the result. What I can also do is to rearrange my data by making the staff ID the first value in the leftmost column on the data table, and then go back and maintain the original selection from B4, and you will see that I'll be getting a result thereafter, because the staff ID has now been placed as the value in the leftmost column of the data table. This being a major limitation of the VLOOKUP function makes the index and match function more preferable, because with the index and match function, you can look up your data from any row or column, no matter where it is situated in your data table. Now let's look at the index and match function. Before we talk about both functions together, let us break it down and talk about the index function and the match function separately. First off, what is the index function? The index function returns a value at the intersection of a particular row and column in a given range. The intersection of a particular row and column means the point where a row and a column meet. Let's use this as an example. Highlighting this column and this row, the intersection here therefore is cell B11, and if we should start counting from the first name under the staff name, we would be getting row 8 and column 1 as the point of intersection. So what the index function does is to return the value at the point of intersection of your specified range. The keyword here is your specified range. You must specify the range for which you want your value to be returned from. This could either be from point A to point E or from point C to point F, depending on what you want. Now let's do a quick example. Let's say I want to find out the value that is in row 8 and column 1 of my specified range, counting from the first name under the staff name: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I want to find out which value is in that 8th row and the first column based on where I specify as my range of cells. So I will go and use the index function equals to index, press the tab key to open bracket. The first argument there is the array. The array is simply my specified range of cells. I'll press the shift control key and the right arrow key to select to the right and the down arrow key to select downwards. The second argument is my row number. My row number here is row 8, so I'll just put number 8, and the third argument is my column number. The column number is column 1. I'll just put 1 as the column number, then I'll press enter. Then this will give us or return the value that is in the 8th row and first column of my specified range of cells, which is Patricia Amador. And we can see that this is correct. This is how the index function works. Now let's look at the match function. The match function, on the other hand, helps you to search for an item in a range of cells and returns the position of that item or data in that range. And this range could either be a row or a column. That is, if you want to pick an item or you're searching for a data from a row, then your range should be a row, and if you are searching for a data from a column, then your range should be a column. With the match function, you will be asking the question, what row or column is my data situated in? Whereas with the index function, you already have a predetermined row and column of your item, but with the match function you will be needing to search. The match function helps you to search for where the item or your data is situated or located in your specified range, which could either be a row or a column. Now let's look at a quick example. Let's say we want to find out where this particular staff name, Patricia Amador, is located in our selected range of cells. So here we'll be using the match function. So type equals to match, open bracket. The first argument is the lookup value. The lookup value here is the name Patricia Amador. That is the value we want to look up for in our selected range of cells. So I'll select that cell, then put a comma. The next argument is the lookup array. The lookup array is the specified range of cells. That is the row where the staff name is located. We will be highlighting that particular row. Remember I said the range of cells could either be a row or a column. So I'm selecting this row where I would want the name to be looked up from. Then the last argument there is the match type. So we'll be looking at the exact match. It's asking us for whether we want an exact match or not. So we'll be selecting 0 as exact match and close the bracket, then press enter. You can see that it has returned the row number 8. So what this means that it is telling us that the name Patricia Amador is located in the 8th row of our selected range of cells. This time let's do an example with the column. Let's say we want to find out where this staff name is located in our selected range of cells, which would be the column. So we would start with the match equals to match function, open the bracket. Then the first argument is the lookup value. We'll select staff name, put a comma. The second argument is the lookup array. This time the array is going to be the column starting from staff name. Remember, the match function specified either a row or a column. You cannot select multiple range like this. It could either be a row or a column. So the last argument, I'll put a comma. The last argument is the match type, and we'll be selecting the exact match, which is 0. Close the bracket and press enter, and you can see it has returned the value 1, meaning that our staff name is located in the first column of our specified range. Now with this, you can see why the index and match function works hand in hand. With the index function, we would have had to identify our own column and row number and impute it by ourselves. But when we infuse the match function helps us to go and search for that row and column number. With this understanding, let us now work with the index and match function together. First, let me just spell out the individual arguments so we can easily see what it looks like. Now back to our example. Remember, with the index function we had to hard code both the row number and the column number with the use of row 8 and column 1, but that will no longer be the case because in place of those numbers we will be using the match function, since the match functions help us to go look up those values and return them in their respective positions. So in this our example, I wanted to return the name of the staff that owns this particular staff ID 1102. What I will do is to remove the number 8, which is the row number, and now replace it with the match function. I'll type match. I'll open brackets. The first argument is the lookup value. The lookup value is the staff ID. I'll click on the cell with the staff ID, then lock it. I'll use F4 to lock it, then press a comma. The next argument is lookup array. The lookup array is where this staff ID is located in my data table. Where will I find it? So I will go and select the row that contains the staff ID, lock it with F4 and press comma. The next argument is the match type. So because I want an exact match, I will put 0, close the bracket and press enter. You can see that it has returned the name Brian Alcon. So Brian Alcon happens to be the name that has the staff ID 1102, and we can confirm this in our data table. You can also see that this figure has changed from 8 to 3. So what this implies is that the staff Brian Alcon is located in the third row based on our selected range. Now going back to the last part of our function, we will be replicating what we did with the row number also with the column number. So this time we'll be removing the column number 1 and replacing it with the match function. Now we'll be using the match function. We'll open the bracket. The lookup value this time around will be our staff name. The staff name will be the lookup value. We'll select the cell and press comma. The next argument is the lookup array. The lookup array this time around will be the column where the staff name is located. Remember, the match function, you can only select either a row or a column, and since the staff name is located in the column, we'll be selecting the range where the staff name is, and I'll lock it with F4. Then I'll press comma. The last argument, which is the match type, we'll be needing the exact match, so I would use 0 and close the bracket, then press enter. And you can see now that it has returned the same name, Brian Alcon. So there was no change in the result, because what the match function does is to help us return the position where our lookup value is located, whether in a range of selected row or a range of selected column. Now let's try changing this staff ID and see the results. You can see it has changed. Let's change it to another one. Now you can see that it has produced another name. So this is how the index and the match function works. Now I'll be showing you different scenarios and tricks in which you can use to manage the index and match function. But first, if you haven't subscribed yet, I think this is the best time for you to do so. In cases where you still find the use of the index and match function a bit confusing, one way you can overcome it is to first of all work out the match function separately, because it's a lot easier when you're working with a single function than when you are combining two functions together. This time around, let us look for the year of employment of the staff with the staff ID 1104. So I'll come over here and type my match function equals to, I'll type match, open bracket. My lookup value will be the staff ID. I'll select the cell with the staff ID. I'll press comma. The lookup array is the row that contains my staff ID in my data table. I'll press comma. Then my match type will be the exact match, 0, and I'll close the bracket and press enter. You can see that it has returned the position 5, meaning that the staff ID 1104 is located on the 5th row from where we selected as our range. So let's do the same thing for the column section. I'll put my equals to sign, type match, press the tab key to open bracket. The lookup value this time will be the year of employment. I'll select the year of employment, press comma. The lookup array is going to be the column where year of employment is. I'll press my shift key and right arrow key to select that range, press comma, then I'll type 0 as my exact match, close the bracket and press enter. Here it returned the position 3, meaning that the year of employment is located on the 3rd column from where we selected as our range on our data table. If we start counting from the staff name, that would be 1, 2, 3. After you have completed your match function on the side for both the row and the column section, you can now come and type your index function. We'll start with the equal sign, type index, open bracket. Our array, remember, is our table that contains our data information. Select them using the shift, control and the arrow keys. We'll press comma. You can lock it with F4 and press comma. Then at this point where it is asking for the row number, because we have calculated the match function on the side, what we can do is to go and select the cell where we calculated the match function for the row, press comma. Then where it is asking for the column number, we would also go and select the cell where we calculated the match function for the column, close the bracket and press enter. Then we have our results. If you don't want to reference the cells where you calculated the match function and would rather prefer to show all the functions on your formula, what you should do is to first calculate the match function on the side for both the row and the column section. Next, you type your index function, open the bracket, and you go select your array, press comma. The next argument, which is the row number, you can go to the cell where you calculated your match function and copy the function. You can either press F2 or you double click the cell for you to access the formula, or you copy from the formula bar. Then you can go back to where you are calculating the index formula, paste it and press comma, and go back again, this time to where you calculated the formula, the match function for the column section. You repeat the same thing, you copy it, then come back again to your index formula. At the point where it is asking for column number, you paste it there, close the bracket and press enter. As you can see, it has produced our result. So with this particular trick, you can do away with the cells where you calculated your match function separately and your formula will still work. Technically, I have just shown you different tricks in which you can use to work with the index and match function. But if in a real life work situation, you are faced with a data like this, for efficiency and productivity's sake, what you need to do is to calculate for one and copy down to fill in the rest. This is what I mean. After working out the index and match function for the first lookup value, which is the staff name, the next thing I'll do is to come back to where I calculated the index and match function and ensure that my formula where I calculated the match function referencing the cell I4 that contains staff name is not fixed. And I will do that by removing the $sign in front of the number 4. If I remove the $sign in front of the number 4, this will enable me copy and fill down the formula to other rows so that it will replicate this formula and produce their respective results. So I'll just come here and drag the fill handle, and this will produce the results for other information respectively. With this now, you can put in any staff ID you want to look up and you will get the appropriate result. To make this even more interesting, let us apply data validation to the cell where we have the staff ID. To do that, you click on the data tab, then click on data validation, select data validation, and in this drop down arrow, instead of selecting any value, you change it to list. Then you come to your source, click on that button, you go and select your source, which in our case is the staff ID. You select all, you can fix it using F4, go back and click OK. Then we already have data validation applied to that cell. If you check through, you will see all the staff IDs is in that cell. With the drop down arrow, you can select any staff ID of your choice and this will produce the necessary results. Let us quickly look at another example. In this example, we will be working with a hypothetical data of a store with various branches, and these are the revenues of each of those branches for their specific products. Let us say we want to find out the amount of revenue sold for chairs in Lagos branch. Applying what we learned in our earlier example, I will first of all be doing a match function of both the product and the branch by the side, as this will help me identify where these items are positioned in our data table based on our selected range. Starting with the product chairs, we'll type our match function. The lookup value here is chairs, then I'll put a comma. The lookup array is the product. Selecting all, I'll use F4 to lock it, put a comma. The next argument, which is the match type, we'll put it 0, then close the bracket. You can see we have 2 as where chairs is located in our data table based on our selected range. And if we change this to art, we can see that the number has also changed to number 6. And when it is changed to labels, the position also changes to number 3, and this can be confirmed from our data table. The same applies for Lagos. We start with the match function. The lookup value will be Lagos. We put a comma. Then the lookup array will be our selected range of column. We put a comma. Our match type is exact match, which is 0. We'll close the bracket and press enter. You can see we already have a position number 1 as where Lagos is located based on our selected range. And if we change this to Abuja, the position also changes accordingly. Same applies to Aba. Based on our selection, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let us work out the index and match function of the total revenue sold for labels in Aba branch. So what we should be expecting as our result is this figure, 900,196 naira. Now let's type our index function. Then for the array, we'll go and select the revenues, total revenues, and lock it using F4. For our row number, we'll go and copy our match function, which we have already done by the side for both the product and the branch. We would start with the product, which will be used to substitute the row number. We'll copy and paste, put a comma, then go and do the same for the column number, which applies to the branch. Copy and paste in the formula. We press enter. So this has produced the result we expected. So we can now go and change the state to say Owerri. It can be confirmed. Let's change from labels to chairs. This can also be confirmed from our data table. We can also do away with the match function because that served as a guide to help us complete our index and match function. We can also come over here, cut these items, put it here. Let's change this to products and put branch over here. Then we can apply our data validation to these cells to make it more dynamic. We'll do the same for the branch. We'll go and select data validation, change to list. The source would be all the branches. After selecting, we'll come back and click OK. And now we also have all the branches in that list. So we can select any branch of our choice and any product of our choice that we want to look up. As you can see, this is flexible and dynamic. You would appreciate this when you're working with very large data, as this will help you easily look up a particular value and you get the result in good time. So we'll be stopping here for today. I hope you enjoyed this section just like I did. Please, if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section and I'll be doing well to answer all. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in other videos. Bye for now.